Cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to NFL The Betting Blitz, Week 12. It is Friday afternoon, a pop-up show. Mike and I decided we're bored on a Friday. Let's talk some football. We just talked all different sports. We are here. We got a huge card this week, 12 games in the NFL. You guys are caught by surprise on X. We're surprised too, but we are ready to dominate. Mike, what's going on, brother?
Busy weekend ahead, so definitely appreciate getting you guys squeezed in here for the NFL Betting Blitz. Best 50 minutes in the NFL, Shark. We've been running hot, back-to-back 7-1 weeks with our best bets. We'll recap those at the end for you guys. Thank you for joining. And let's make some money, Shark.
Absolutely. I'm just reposting it now. I always say Sundays are for the sharps. Fridays are for freedom. Saturdays tomorrow. We are here. We are now. And as Mike said, we're running a great campaign in the NFL. A couple spray plays, little props, taking us the other direction last week. But the top plays on this show are where you guys want to be. You want to be with our top plays? We're going to get into it right now, not waiting around, and let's talk some ball. First game on the card, out-of-conference football, 1 o'clock on Sunday. Steelers at Bears. Old school teams, Leatherhead football in the cold at Soldier Field. Honestly, a really interesting matchup here, and I think a contrarian spot maybe on both sides. A lot of people like the Steelers. A lot of people like the Bears for different reasons. Mike, we're still trying to figure out if you secretly like the Steelers. Maybe it's Aaron Rodgers, Mike Tomlin. I don't know. I know it's Friday. We're talking ball. What do you think about this game?
62% of the bets and cash align on the Steelers, yet the line's not moving. It is starting to shade a little bit towards the Bears. Maybe by Sunday, this thing gets to 3. 44.5 is the total, has moved as high as 46 with 54% of the bets and 60% of the cash. It's funny, Shaq, we were talking backstage about, I can't believe we're going to have to kick this card off with this game. It definitely gives me angst. It gives me a little bit of agita. It gives me a lot of disgusting feelings out there about this thing here. But I said this last week, and I kind of feel like my feet are taped to the pedals. You know, I think the Bears are going to be in fade position. They're probably the most fraudulent number one team in a division across football. And it's just a matter of they really haven't played, a couple teams in division, sure. But, man, this is a tricky spot for sure. I just got to look at this one and say, I still got to take the Steelers. I know Aaron Rodgers and the uncertainty with this thing. Mike Tomlin in the dog roll. Granted, we talked about this too. 25-4-4, though. Boy, it's a tricky spot for me. I just don't love this game. I just look at this pass defense for the Bears is going to be vulnerable. It doesn't even matter if Aaron Rodgers plays or not. I think the Steelers are live in this one here. Mike Tomlin does Mike Tomlin things. Give me the Steelers. I hate it.
I'm still trying to figure this out. You know, Mike's telling me he's going to Niagara Falls tonight. I think there's some secret deal going on. I think Aaron Rodgers north of the border pulling some shenanigans. I'm going to give you guys the Bears, and we're opening up with a little disagreement here. Again, I just think the Steelers are frauds. I say it every week, getting outgained by almost 100 yards per game. At some point, this comes the other direction. And I've been watching football since the early 90s, and I know there's certain teams, bend, don't break defense, just super opportunistic on defense in terms of turnover accumulation. It's just hard to sustain. I mean, we've seen this team win games this year, most notably recently beating the upstart Colts at home. 6 turnovers. I mean, this is like historical stuff. And while getting dominated in the yardage market so drastically, at some point it comes the other direction. I think the line is telling us a story here. This is the 4th time this year Pittsburgh's playing a road or neutral site out of division game. One game in London against the Vikings did cover, key point, -2.5, 24-21 against Carson Wentz. So when they were a favorite, not at Acrisure Stadium against this division, NFC North, they covered. So books got it right. Now a dog. Only time road dog this year outside of division. Mike and I were actually on here a couple weeks ago disagreeing on the Steelers. What else is new? It seems to be a weekly occurrence. Chargers -2.5, 3, 25-10. I think you're going to see a similar game. I think Rodgers is going to struggle. His wrist injury is fairly notable. I'm not sure if he's going to be at full staff. Also, Mason Rudolph did not look particularly good in relief last week. Truthfully, I just think this is where Pittsburgh at some point is going to come to a halt. Final point on this game. Chicago actually has performed great in the Caleb Williams era as a home favorite. 6-1 in his career as a home favorite at Soldier Field. And you have to remember, some of those games were last year with Matt Eberflus and Caleb not looking like the guy he is now. I got to be honest with you. I was watching the game last week. I was actually at Everbank Stadium at the Jags game as they beat down the Chargers, but I was watching on the big screen. They had Red Zone on there. Caleb Williams reminded me last week just how athletic he is. A couple unbelievable plays, getting away from sacks, getting downfield running, and he is starting to actually throw the ball with more efficiency now. Not overthinking as much. I'm not overthinking it. I like the Bears. Mike likes the Steelers. Disagreement on this game, but a lot of alignment as we go forward. Take either side, bet with either side, crack a beer on a Sunday, and let's dominate. 1 o'clock, next game on the card. Bengals hosting the Patriots in Cincinnati. I got to be honest with you. I don't know what's more surprising this year. Burrow getting hurt again, no surprise, or the Patriots at 9-2. I got to be honest, I'm shocked. If somebody had asked me early season, what are the Patriots going to do this year? I would have said maybe 9-8, 8-9, kind of, like nice improvement from last year where they really bottomed out. This is exponential. It's meteoric. It's historical, this rise. This team looks absolutely elite. Week after week, they proved everybody wrong. People said it was because they had a soft schedule. It seems to be actually somewhat sustainable now. However, Mike, the perpetual contrarian, is still not buying it. Mike, looking at the Bengals.
Unbelievable spot here. This line's gone up to 7. It's a full tutty now for the Cincinnati Bengals at home hosting this New England Patriots team. 73% of the bets, 74% of the cash on the Pats. And the lines, it's an agreement with the books here. The total's moving up as well. 51s across the market, 80% of the bets, 72% of the cash on this total. Yeah, the Flacco, Burrow. But we do know that we got May, and he has been on fire out there. Look, some of these guys, Henderson, the running back situation for this New England Patriots team has really straightened itself out. Number 1 in the AFC East are these Pats. Is it deserved? Isn't it deserved? I don't know what it comes down to with this team, but I was looking at this game and I just thought this one screams points to me. I'm leaning Bengals. I'm very much leaning at taking the 7 points here. I think that the air comes out of this Patriots balloon a little bit, but in hindsight, as I look back at this thing here, I've been on some overs with these Patriots teams and these Bengals teams here, including last week. And I want to run it back here. I don't care who the quarterback is for this Bengals squad. I just think we see points on the board. Give me the over 51 chart.
I completely agree. There we go. We are aligned. This is going to be an over. There's almost no way it's not. The Patriots offense looks explosive. They are finally featuring Trevian Henderson, first-round pick out of Ohio State, maybe second-round pick out of Ohio State. I was trying to figure this out early season, why they weren't playing this guy. I understand it's kind of, these guys are all Belichick guys. I mean, it's Vrabel, it's McDaniels, it's the Belichick tree. You got to work for it. You got to earn your stripes. I get it. He's a rookie. He's coming out of college. But this kid is incredibly explosive. I was watching the game last week, Thursday Night Football against the Jets. Far more than just a third down back or a guy taking a pitch to the edge. He can get through the middle. He's a physical runner. And I think he is really high upside at this point. You go through just the offensive picture for the Patriots. They are traveling well. We have seen them really light up teams with no defense on the road week after week. Only real notable under was a divisional under at Buffalo. Actually kind of a surprise given how poor Buffalo's defense has looked in recent history. But I think you're going to see a lot of points. Really, final point on this. The Bengals defense is an absolute sip. They're terrible. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback, Burrow, Browning, Flacco. It's going to be a track meet, and you get a buy low. Last week, the Bengals actually did go under against Pittsburgh, not because of any sort of elite level defense, really just kind of a coin flip at the end of the game. Flacco was driving in garbage time. You see touchdowns there very frequently in blowouts to close the game. He just couldn't convert. So you get a buy low, Pats off a bit of a low scoring game against the Jets in the division. Out of the division, going to be explosive. Take the over and let's cash. Next game on the card, 1 o'clock, NFC football in Detroit. Giants traveling to the Lions. This is one of the more square handicaps you will find on the card, but I don't think incorrect. The Lions just lost last week. In the Dan Campbell era, when the Lions lose, you bet them the next week. And this week, they get Jameis Winston on the road. Jameis Winston, representative at home last week. I told you guys last year, when he replaced, when he was quarterback for the Browns, he did have a good start 1, also at home. He faded away after that. I think he's going to fade away. I think the Lions get a blow up. Mike, any thoughts?
I agree. We talked about this. We were funny. We're laughing backstage about parlays and some of these square things where it's like, can you just see these teams taking the L? And we both were laughing about that. No, some of these spots do kind of just line up this way. Can the Giants go out there and shock the world on the road in Detroit up against it with the 13-0 situation? The answer is no here. Minus 8.5's moved to 13s in some books. 74% of the bets, 87% of the cash here. At time of recording on this Detroit Lions, 45.5 has gone as high as 50, expecting there to be points. I think it's going to be a predominantly one-sided affair. 72% of the bets, 67% of the cash. The Lions are going to be used in a teaser leg for me that we'll talk about when I get to that second half and we get to the best bet segment here. But I agree with you. This is one of those spots where we don't need to overcomplicate this game, this spot, this situation for the sake of content. Let's just move on from a Lions beatdown on these Giants and put them back in their position.
Yeah, I mean, just to give it a little more emphasis, this year alone, of course, I believe the Lions are 13-0 last 13 against the spread off a previous outright loss. Just this year, we've already seen it 3 times, and it really is emphatic. And I would say it's just as emphatic as Dan Campbell is in the locker room as a leader. This team really feeds off his energy, and they just are going to be so jacked up this week. Lost week 1 at Green Bay. Couldn't score, 27-13 loss. Came back at home week 2, 52-21 against the Bears. Took a loss at Kansas City. Notice again, road loss, 30-17. Couldn't really score. Came back and hammered Tampa Bay 24-9. Another loss against Minnesota. Caught a team from this division with a backup quarterback, the Commanders, in week 10 with Marcus Mariota, 44-22. The game felt like it was over in the first quarter. They're that explosive. I'll take it officially. We're giving you guys current line is looking like minus 12 Lions. Don't go near the Giants. Take the Lions, and let's keep it moving. Next game on the card, divisional football. Only one at 1 o'clock on this Sunday. Vikings traveling to Green Bay. This is going to be an interesting game. The Vikings have looked situationally scrappy. All of a sudden now, McCarthy looks like he's really in over his head. His completion percentage is hovering right around 50%, coming off a divisional loss last week against Chicago. Last week, I did take Chicago. I thought Chicago would compete there and get their revenge. This is the first matchup of the year between these two. They do face each other twice before we go to the playoffs in mid-January. Mike, this is a tough game. The Packers, I got to be honest, are one of the most unpredictable teams in the league. They look good, bad, indifferent. It's not home. It's not road. It's not anything. It's very much scattered. I don't really have a look in this, but I think you do.
Yeah, tight end, depleted now. A big deal with Croft and the Green Bay Packers side of things here. Since then, they've just been dealing with the kind of that downtick of injuries right now. Minus 3.5 has moved as high as 6.5 now, though. On this Packers side of things, you have 60% of the bets and 52% of the cash on the Minnesota Vikings. Then we look at the total. It's gone from 45.5, and it continues to tick downward. 65% of the bets, 67% of the cash. You talked about it, a divisional battle. It does make sense that these guys will see each other consistently over the course of time and make a lower scoring game out of this thing. But look, I'm not buying into this Packers team, and it's not just because of Tucker Kraft. But now look on top of it. Josh Jacobs gets banged up, probably unlikely to play. Jaden Reed, you're just losing too many components out there. And on the other side of things, you got a Minnesota Vikings team. How about this? You give the Vikings 6 days of rest against the spread and a low total. They're 62-22 in those positions. Dare we say upset brewing here, but I'll take the 6.5 points with the Minnesota Vikings. I think this is a good spot for us to take a divisional upset on their home turf. Yes, 27 points on a bad Green Bay defense. There's no question about it. But listen, can you keep these boys off the board? The Vikings trying to bounce back, and I think they can find this soft spot, especially if they're going to be down Jacobs and the gang out there. Give me the 6.5 points. Don't be surprised if the wrong team's favorite, Chart.
Yeah, I mean, I think the under is the best look in this game. When you look at last year's matchup, of course, a lot of different moving parts, quarterbacks mainly, obviously Sam Darnold for the Vikings. 2 overs, pretty extreme overs in this matchup, 31-29 in Green Bay, going back to week 3 or week 4 last year, September the 29th, 2024. Really just an explosive game with 60 points. Later season in Minnesota in the Dome, December 29th, another high one, 27-25. Key point on the line, 48.5. So the books had that graded correctly towards an over. You're sitting here at 41.5. And I said there was a lot of inconsistency and unpredictability to Green Bay. Really, the only predictability we've seen in recent history is an inability to score at home. We did give you guys last week's show over road at the Giants. They did go over the team total. That was Mike's official, and my official was the game over 42.5. Distinct polarization. They score on the road, particularly outside of the division. They can't score at home. And I think J.J. McCarthy's going to struggle here. It's an outdoor game. It's Lambeau right around Thanksgiving. It's going to be cold. The turf is going to be kind of hard. The footing's not going to be particularly good. I think you're going to see a defensive game. The best look in the game for me would be the under at 41.5 and keeping it moving. Next game on the card, 1 o'clock in Tennessee. This is one of those games. It seems like every time the Titans are playing a home game, Mike, we were on here 2 weeks ago. We said, screw the game. You're in Nashville. Crack the gears. Hit the bars. I mean, this one is worse than the previous one. A couple of weeks ago, we said maybe it would be somewhat competitive. Now, all of a sudden, you get the Seahawks coming in here off a divisional loss at the Rams, laying 2 touchdowns. I mean, who would have thought that Sam Darnold and these guys would be laying 2 touchdowns? Not me. It's a blowout line. I would only look towards the favorite here.
Well, I mean, let's not overcomplicate this one either, right? These Titans are in despair. The 70% of the bets, 69% of the cash on the Seahawks. This line's gone as high as 13 now. 13 points. The books think that the Titans go behind the woodshed. 44.5 has gone down to 40.5. 59% of the bets, 69% of the cash coming in on the over at this point, thinking it's a little bit too low. If it goes over, it's because the Seahawks do it all themselves. 45 points, trying to bounce back. It was a tough game for them the other day, last weekend there, but boy, what a tough spot this Titan team here. They're just done. You know, it's funny because every time I look at fantasy points and looking to pick up players on the bench out there, they continue to look at this this Titans running back game. And you take Calvin Ridley out of the equation on top of this here. They've got defensive tackle issues. This is an ugly spot. I'm just going to take the points I'm going to lay the points with the Seahawks here. League's worst defense. Okay. Titans, Seahawks in a pissed off bounce back spot after losing that NFC West battle last week. Yeah. They go behind the woodshed. We're going to take it. We're going to lay it. We're going to drop there's 12.5s out there. We'll call it 13 official, Shark.
Yeah. I mean, if you just look at Tennessee this year, I mean, the one thing that I said last week, which actually did cash, is they've been reasonable at home in the first half. Not because the offense has been particularly explosive. The game last week, they did cover the first half. They were getting 2.5 or 3.5, and they did win the first half 3-0 against Davis Mills, who's now apparently the best quarterback on earth as of Thursday Night Football last night. I'll save that for a different conversation, but they have covered first halves. Different story in the second half. And I think it really is your quintessential rookie quarterback. He's young. He doesn't have sustainability over 60 minutes, but he comes out in the first quarter energized. The group is ready to go. They bring physicality. They kind of overexert themselves early. It's classic young quarterback, young team football, and it applies to all sports if we're being honest. Young teams, young players have a ton of talent in pro sports. They overexert early. They don't sustain. I think you could see a bit of a scrappy effort here early from the Titans. And, of course, you are getting the Seahawks on East Coast time coming from the West Coast, where we've already seen this a couple times this year. Game covers, non-cover first half. At Pittsburgh early season, we're actually down in the first half. A couple Darnold turnovers really made a gigantic dominant effort push in the second half to win and cover. Same thing in Jacksonville, going back to midseason. A little flat in the first half, got their flow, dominated the second half. I think ultimately the Seahawks do cover this game, but I would look towards potentially Tennessee in the first half. Best looks in that game, looking towards the Seahawks and keeping it moving. Next game on the card, big game here, 1 o'clock in Kansas City. Colts at Chiefs. I think if you rewound this to early season and you said, okay, one of these teams is 8-2, the other is 5-5, you certainly wouldn't have had it Chiefs 5-5, Colts 8-2, but here we are. And you talk about the law of averages reversing pretty heavily for the Chiefs this year. Last year, the Chiefs were undefeated midseason, And they really ran a great campaign, obviously losing in the Super Bowl to the Eagles, but they were winning all the close games, all of them. And I was on here last year, week after week, saying, fade the Chiefs. They're too hot. They're getting incredibly lucky. Block kicks, turnovers, all sorts of stuff. Winning by 2 points, 3-1, whatever. It's come the other direction. Now they're not winning any coin flips. And I think this is where it comes back their direction. I'm going to give you guys the Chiefs at -3. This is Friday afternoon. It's mostly 3.5 or 3. I think this is where they have to win. Mike, we were saying it before the show.
Yeah.
You can't go 5-6. You cannot go 5-6. One of the best spots in the sport. We said this about the Ravens the last couple weeks. Teams that have championship aspirations that have underperformed so drastically where a midseason game becomes a playoff game. This is a Chiefs playoff game, Mike. Talk to me.
Yeah, y'all laughed at me when I said the Broncos were live dogs last week. And I stand on it. I stand by it, man. They were, in fact, it was a tight game, 22-19 finish, but tough schedule right now. You know, they just lost to the Bills. They just lost to the Broncos. You have to win. If there is a must-win spot and you got a quarterback that's in that position in Patrick Mahomes, how are you not going to take advantage of that? On top of that, there's that uncertainty with Indiana Jones. I was going to call him Danny Dimes. Indiana Jones. We're not sure if he's going to play or not in this game. And so, yeah, give me a spot where you've got a motivated, fired up, back home situation. They go back on the road after this week to take on them Dallas Cowboys. They need this win. This is a big chance in the conference to get themselves back in the right direction off of tough games. And yeah, this Colts team's a tough team. The defense looks good. They're seeing nothing less than Jonathan Taylor running all over the yard. I still think he's a great candidate to go out there for the MVP. I know it's a quarterback thing, but look, Josh Allen was the number one guy to get the MVP. He's taking a step back now. We'll talk about the Rams side of things here in a few minutes, but for me, I like this situation. I like the Chiefs. I'm not going to bet against them in this spot there. I'll lay the 3.5. So I'm good either way. Let's go. Let's get this cash, man. That's an alignment with my boy and I here, Shark.
No, and I like it too. I like spots like this just in general across any sport. I like when you can find a buy low on a championship caliber team. I think they're really comfortable spots to bet, and they're not common. I mean, you don't see teams that go to Super Bowls and then are this, in despair in the middle of the season. But I think even more importantly, looking at the Colts, I think the Colts have been kind of a combination of beating weaker competition and also just getting a little fortunate in small windows. Like these wins they've had. They blew out the Dolphins. They blew out Vegas. They barely beat Arizona with a backup quarterback. They beat Tennessee. They beat Atlanta in Germany, I believe it was. They have beaten the Chargers on the road, and they have beaten Denver. Here's the point on both of those, though. The Denver game was a complete coin flip in week 2. There was a penalty that gave them an extra attempt at a field goal to win. Otherwise, they would have lost. And the game at the Chargers was really just Justin Herbert playing this loose style of football we've seen from him this year with a lot of turnovers. Again, we're not going to take anything away from the Colts, but Herbert really helped them out with some really loose plays. I don't think the Chiefs are in that mold right now. I think the Chiefs are truly, as we said, desperate. And just looking at the Chiefs' schedule here for a second, if you really look at these losses, it's hard to find a better group of losses ever in the NFL, really. 5 losses. They lost to the Chargers in Brazil in the opener. They were coming off a Super Bowl loss, hangover game in Brazil. Okay, fine. Divisional opponent, huge motivation for Harbaugh and these guys. They lost to the Eagles, who won the Super Bowl last year. They lost a complete coin flip in Jacksonville. Jacksonville is very good at Everbank Stadium historically. It's a tough out, also facilitated by a 99-yard pick 6 by Mahomes. You talk about a game-reversing play. Chiefs are about to score 99 yards the other way, and they still only lost by 3 points. Lost at Buffalo, who is very good, obviously, and Denver, who's very good. So those 5 losses are all close, mostly on the road, and they're the playoff teams. Colts, I think, unproven. I think Colts are too hot. This is a KC spot. Take the Chiefs at -3. Let's fucking go. Let's go. Next game on the card, last one at 1 o'clock. Another one of these 2 touchdown kind of grease fire specials here. Ravens laying 13.5 to the Jets. The Jets have finally pulled the plug on Justin Fields. I hate to say it, I like Justin Fields at Ohio State. I still think he's a hell of an athlete. Truthfully, he's one of those guys you could almost convert to a wide receiver and he'd probably be elite. We saw this, just a guy off the top of my head, Antoine Randall. He was a quarterback at Indiana before it was the Stignetti top 5 Indiana Hoosiers going back 20 years. Comes into the league. He's a wide receiver for the Steelers. He was great. Justin Fields, quarterback. Julian Edelman, same thing, quarterback in college, Kent State. Make Justin Fields a receiver. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here because the game's so shitty. Like anything.
This is the second leg of the teaser for me, man. Give me the Ravens in the spot. Are you kidding? I'm not going to overcomplicate this one either. The Jets are just I don't know, dare I say, an absolute joke. I mean, this team, leadership-wise, we talked on this last week, and top to bottom, ownership all the way down to the key players and the key personnel on the squad. It's moved from 11.5 to 13.5. 67% of the bets, 71% of the cash are on the Ravens. The interesting spots in this total is 50-50. It's a coin flip. It hasn't really moved in one direction or the other. I'll tell you the spot that I like in this game. Not only am I going to give you the teaser between, the Lions here and the Ravens, but give me the team total under on top of that. Under 15.5 for the New York Jets. I don't see it. I don't see how they score. I don't see how they compete in this game whatsoever. Mark Andrews, I like him to get an anytime touchdown spot there as well. Plus 160 out there on the books. Couple ways that I want to get paid in this game, but it has nothing to do with the New York Jets being productive whatsoever. Shark, talk about it, man.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it's a blowout line. The Ravens need to win the game. I like the teaser angle. The only game that Tyrod Taylor did cover on the road this year, he covered at the Bucks early season, +7, 29-27 Bucks. But the key point was, in terms of your under there, the Jets actually did absolutely nothing offensively. 6 points through the first 3 quarters before a 21-point explosion in the fourth quarter. But that fourth quarter explosion was actually facilitated by a blocked kick returned for a touchdown. So the Jets covering these spreads, again, kind of all over the place. I would look towards the Ravens, although I do think the Jets could be scrappy and somehow keep this inside of 12 points. That's why the teaser has so much angle here. And obviously, Mike and I are not guys that are selling you guys parlays and teasers, but pro football is so unique in terms of these specific lines, key numbers. I think this is probably a win by 7 or more, maybe not by 2 touchdowns due to, late complacency. The Ravens are notorious for taking their foot off the gas late. They have blown tons of leads in the fourth quarter in this Lamar Jackson window in the last 5 years. Could get there late, but I think the teaser is great with and Mike's angle is right there. A lot going on in this game, but let's keep it moving. 4 o'clock slate to come, and we got a break.
Absolutely, guys. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. You enjoy the content. You like the breakdown. You like this fast 50-minute format. Appreciate everybody being flexible with us this week. We're trying this time slot out for a travel spot for me. So appreciate you guys. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. Show the support for the squad.
Four o'clock slate, 4:05 in Vegas. Browns at Raiders. Oh, man. I mean, there are just some bad teams in this sport right now. I mean, we see it in the 1 o'clock slate. You're seeing good teams versus bad teams, thus the 2 touchdown gaps. This is just 2 bad teams versus each other, thus the line being tight. The Raiders actually did face the Titans in a similar spot out of division in conference early season, right in this line range. They were laying 3.5, 4 points. They did cover. They won 20-10. Dylan Gabriel hasn't looked very good on the road. I mean, truthfully, I could see the Raiders somehow pulling something out of their hat and covering this game. I don't know. Mike, any thoughts?
Yeah, they're going to go to Shadur Sanders. That was the announcement that was made yesterday. No more Dylan Gabriel. And why wouldn't you? He had 4 of 16 last week. He had an interception. I guess he had a decent drive. I guess you could say that. I mean, these teams are terrible, right? 2-8 on both sides. The Raiders can't score. The Browns are going to struggle to score, especially if you're going to go to Shadur. The problem with Shadur Sanders, and this goes back to his days in Colorado, he'll run 100 yards, but it's because he runs 85 of them backwards all game long. This guy holds on to the ball too long, and his football IQ. It's just not there. And not only are you playing on a bad team, against, a situation where you're on the road. He's going to finally get first team reps for the first time all season. That should help to some degree, but I think the way you got to look at this game is it's a low total for a reason. You got to go to the under in this spot. Geno Smith's bad in his own right. I mean, both these guys throwing interceptions. Seems like the parlay of the week here might be, both the quarterbacks that go out there and throw a pick in this thing. But, you got middle of the road offenses. They're not even middle of the road is a disservice to middle of the road, Shark. I'm going to take the under in this game. Fuck this game.
Yeah, I mean, that game that I was just referencing, the game where Vegas hosted Tennessee, it wasn't under 20-10. That was Vegas's last win. I do think in terms of the handicap here, it does lean towards the Raiders. I mean, I think backing Shedeur Sanders on the road is an absolute disaster. And all the things Mike's talking about, I don't think he's really qualified to be an NFL quarterback. I don't think he's very good. And I think we've seen this week after week and season after season with rookie quarterbacks. Blue chip rookie quarterbacks don't travel well, let alone guys that are, late draft picks, third round or third string. I mean, coming out of camp. And I mean, this is like a crazy point, but I honestly think this media circus around this player is most of the reason he's even on the field. Like, I think the media has really facilitated this. If his name was not Shedeur Sanders and they weren't talking about him on ESPN every other day, I don't think he'd even be on the roster. So that just gives you such a snapshot to the lack of quality here. And that's why you're seeing the Raiders actually get steamed up in the market. 3.5 now turning into 4. And final point on this, and I want to throw it back to Mike for a comment, but if you just look at the difference in pedigree in this game, we just talked about Shedeur. I mean, Geno Smith is a grinder, Shedeur Sanders largely is propped up because of the family name. It's nepotism. That's a great word for you guys. Look it up. It's Friday afternoon, but it is. And Geno is the polar opposite. He's been given nothing. He was drafted by the Jets. The Jets did him dirty. He bounced around. He had to grind. He was on his couch. He's come back. He's never really won anything either. So it's not even like a Flacco who won a championship, who has credential and this bravado. Geno is just he's a man of the street within the NFL. Of course, that's not the literal street. He's still getting paid millions of dollars, but the street of the NFL, he's just a grinder. He's not going to take this game off. A win is for this guy means something. And I think the Raiders will actually turn up. I'm talking myself into it. It's Friday, but truthfully, I'm going to place this bet as soon as we get off the show. Raiders, stand the hell up and let's dominate. Mike, just talk about that for a second. Just the way the media has propped up Shedeur Sanders. Have we seen a player in the last 10 years, 20, 30, that really was so low quality, that had a name that was so propped up? Michael Jordan's kids were never propped up. Oh, Bronny James is another one. Same example.
Yep. There you go. You got this situation where these guys come in there and they're is the term entitled appropriate in this spot as well? I don't know. It just feels like, that last name carries a ton of clout. I guess it should. I guess you're kind of curious what the son of a Hall of Famer looks like in practice, but he's shown us he's nobody. Colorado, incredible disappointment and letdown. Boy, I go right back to when he was, working in the combine out there. He bad combine results with this guy. Just, hey man, maybe, one positive I'll say about him. I saw that he found there was a single mother working 2 jobs story in Cleveland, and her car broke down and her kid was playing youth sports and he had to stop playing youth sports. The only positive I'll say out of Sanders is he actually, his team decided to donate a new car to this single mother this past week to help her so that the child can go to the sporting events and she doesn't have to take the bus. Okay, that's a positive feel-good story. But outside of that, man, pass on this dude.
No, without question. And just one final point on this. Going through the Browns road calendar with this carousel of quarterbacks, they've been awful on the road all year to begin with. Flacco got absolutely hammered, 41-17 at Baltimore, 34-10 at Detroit. Gabriel, 23-9 at Pittsburgh. Gabriel again, 32-13 at New England. The Browns lost by 7 to the Jets on the road. The Browns, I actually don't have the precise data in front of me. I'm just looking at the calendar, the schedule here. The Browns have to be the worst road team in the entire sport. Really? I mean, really. They lost to the Jets. They got blown out at New England. They got blown out every game, and they even lost by a full touchdown to the Jets. They're horrible on the road, and the quarterback situation gets worse. This is actually a very high-level spot for the Raiders, if I'm being honest. Take the Raiders and let's cash. Keeping it moving. Next game here, we get to better things. But, truthfully, oftentimes in pro football, the best value is in the games nobody's looking at, and that's what we saw in that one. Yeah. This game, there will be more eyeballs on it. Jags Cardinals out of division here, out of conference in Arizona. Tough game here. I know Mike likes Jacoby Brissett. We go through this every week as well. I haven't really gotten to an angle on this. I think we might disagree a little bit on this one, but Mike, talk to me.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm tough with the Jaguars too, because I've found myself in the last couple of weeks trying to believe in Trevor Lawrence. And, this line's flip-flopped and opened up the look-ahead spot. We've talked about the importance of finding the early spot versus the current spot so we can try to identify why is this line moving. It went from +3 to -3 on the Jaguar side of things. 60% of the bets, 47% of the cash, however, on the Jags. 47.5 on the total, 71% of the bets, 66% of the cash on the under. Shark, this is a spot that I got to go back to Jacoby. I get it. And, listen, tough situation. You're losing another wide receiver. McBride's been a beacon of opportunity when it comes to benefiting from this Jacoby Brissett situation. But, hey, man, they took Kyler Murray out. Finally took him and set him on the bench out there. I want to fade the Jaguars, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But, you lose Marvin Harrison Jr., definitely going to short things. Tough games here. You've got a Seahawks and a Niners spot on the schedule as well. So this is an opportunity to feast on an average or even a less than average Jaguars defense out there. The Jaguars are going to keep the ball on the ground. We see that they love this Travis Etienne. Pound this rock, pound, get it going, and try to minimize the opportunity that the ball's in Trevor Lawrence's hands. But this is an official wrong team favorite spot for me. You fade the Jaguars against the NFC. You're 19-2. Give me the +3. I'm going to sprinkle this money line as well. This is an average at best Jaguars defense that has an upset Cardinals team at home. First game after a star player's out there. I always love to play on those teams as well. Cardinals get the outright win at home. Take the 3. Feel really good about this opportunity. This is a last field goal wins the game type of thing. Probably a 1 or 2 point victory type game. Give me the Arizona Cardinals. Give me the +3. Let's go.
Yeah, truthfully, I wouldn't necessarily disagree. You look at Jacksonville here. It's a tough travel spot. You come off a huge home win. You got to go to the West Coast. Definitely kind of the opposite of what you saw last week, where the Chargers were coming east and got hammered at Jacksonville. Now Jacksonville goes west. And I do think you're making some good points. Arizona here with Brissett at quarterback. This is his 6th game.
Yeah.
Noticeably polarized in versus out of division efficiency. He's actually 3-0 ATS outside of the division, covered at Indy, covered a home game against Green Bay, and beat Dallas outright on the road. 0-2 in the division, both blowouts, both very similar scores. Road loss 44-22 at Seattle, home loss 41-22 against San Francisco. So you talk about patterns there. Almost the same exact score against 2 divisional games and 3 covers outside of the division. I wouldn't disagree. I haven't really gotten anywhere with this one, but making a lot of valid points to a very sharp contrarian spot. Next game on the card is still at 4 o'clock, 4:25. Going to divisional football, 2 divisional games here to close the card at 4 o'clock. Saints hosting the Falcons in New Orleans. This is a psychological game, and this is really a tale of 2 teams and players going in different directions. This is start 3 Tyler Show, first home start of his career. This is Kirk Cousins replacing Michael Penix, second start of the year. Kirk Cousins is at the back end of his career. He has looked terrible this year. He's making a boatload of money. Good for him. He has nothing to prove, nothing to play for. He's really out the door. This is Tyler Show's show, if you want to call it that. Coming home, New Orleans, divisional game, first home start. A lot of great quotes, and I got to be honest with you, I was impressed last week. Mike got it right. He said the Saints would beat the Panthers. This was actually 2 weeks ago on the road.
Yeah.
I had the wrong side of it, but I always watch, I learn, I adjust. I have a lot more respect for this kid now. You get crushed on the road in your first career start at the Rams. You got to stay on the road against an upstart Carolina team, You don't get to go home, nothing. It's a tough travel spot, road to win and cover. I was impressed. I like the makeup, and I think ultimately that's going to translate to a even more efficient home effort. I like the Saints here to get the win. Mike, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is a Saints spot. We got on this rookie quarterback early, and look, plus 2.5 is now minus 1.5. It's flip-flopped across zero. 68% of the bets, 72% of the cash on the Falcons. Tough spot. Both these teams kind of have an interesting schedule situation. They're both coming off of divisional games. But you mentioned it. Cousins, Penix Jr., the broken team in this Atlanta side of the house. Try to analyze these quarterback situations. We looked at it yesterday with the game between the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans and said, are we really stepping back in quarterback class with a changeover from CJ Stroud to Davis Mills? And the answer was no. It was an average situation with CJ Stroud this season coming off that first, phenomenal rookie season. Same thing with a week ago, Marcus Mariota with the changeover from Jaden Daniels. Are we seeing a step down in class with the quarterback? No, underperforming. Penix Jr. not performing. In this case here, flip side of things, you move over to Kirk Cousins. He's not performing either. So we got two bad quarterbacks trying to fill the gap and a bad team on offense from Bijan Robinson going to do it all himself? No, I think this is an absolute take this New Orleans Saints spot. Just surprisingly, this point of the season, the Saints are the better team, and it's hard for me to believe that as I say the words aloud. But look, this is a good money line spot. Don't mess around. Just take this minus 125s, minus 130s, jump on the Saints team, and thank us next week.
Yeah, and just one final point on this. When you really look at as we said, the arc of these teams, it's more than just Kirk Cousins. This is the Falcons here, who were actually 3-2 after week 6, beating Buffalo in prime time. They're 0-5 since, and it's not going to improve here. They're really just cratering. And I think you can really look at schedules like a graph almost, where there's a peak and then it really pushes the other direction. And you ask yourself, is there going to be a pullback to a higher average? I don't think so at all. I think this is really kind of a funeral spot. They just lost in overtime to Carolina. They kind of gave it a nice effort in the second half. Ultimately, Carolina did dominate the second half. Bryce Young looked like he was like Super Bowl quality quarterback in that second half. The defense is checked out and really is the beginning of an upward movement for the Saints. One team is coming, one team is going. Absolutely final point on this game. I actually like the coaching situation more for New Orleans as well. I like Kellen Moore. He's smart. He worked well with Dak Prescott. He worked well in other formats with other effective teams. I never really liked the Raheem Morris hire, if I'm being honest. Yeah. He's a recycled head coach. He didn't perform well as a coach of the Bucs going back about a decade. It's just in the NFL, and you see it in the NBA as well. Guys that get fired and didn't do anything the first time rarely ever come back the second time and are that much better. He's just an average coach. So flat coach, dead zone spot, take the Saints, and let's dominate. Final game of the 4 o'clock slate, only other divisional game in this window. This is a marquee game. There's no way around it. Eagles at Cowboys in Arlington, Texas, 425. This is an A-team game. You're going to get the Fox A-team. It's going to be a big-time game. It's going to be on everybody's TV. I'm going to watch it. I also think we have an angle in the game. You know, Navy never looked so good until right about now. Mike, what are we doing here?
First and foremost, shout out to my guy, Ray Otachi. Big $50 dono, my man, supporting the squad since day one. Appreciate you, my fella. Always being around, riding with us, an OG from day one. Fernando Mendoza's in the chat as well. Shout out to all you guys, man. Make sure you leave a comment after the show about plays that you're tailing. If you're going to fade us, give us some insight. We're all trying to grow this community and build it together. And I can't stand to see the hat on my guy's head, but it is a buy sign engaged. You heard me. You heard me. I can't believe I'm saying it aloud, Shark. It sounds blasphemy just to even think about this situation. But it is a fade spot on the Eagles. We've talked about this before. One of the best spots in sports. You talked about the 13-0 Lions spot after a loss. How about fading teams after a Lions game? Not just the disarray that's happening and these question marks in the locker room. But yeah, there's a lot of, they're pointing fingers at the offensive coordinator. They're pointing fingers at the quarterback. AJ Brown's got a lot to say on the matter. 53% of the bets, 40% of the cash on the Eagles And it's come down from 5.5. There's 3.5. And now we're even seeing 3s in some of the prevailing books. 46.5's gone up to 47.5, probably because they think, boy, this Cowboys defense is really bad. But I talked about this last week when I said I'm taking the Eagles and I'll fade them against the Cowboys. The Cowboys are backs against the wall. They've got to go out there and find this win. They're trying to push themselves for playoffs. They're 4-5-1. They've got that tie, and that might loom large as they get through the rest of the season here. But boy, I don't want to say this is a wrong team favorite spot, but I'm going to take the 3.5 with the hook. It's a divisional game. It's a spot where I'm just looking at these two teams thinking, if there's ever motivation, look, Dak Prescott, division rivals at home. As much as I think Dak Prescott's a fraud, he's not capable of the big plays. There hasn't been a lot of quarterbacks that have been available in Dallas to make those big plays, but Dak, division rivals at home, he's 24-3 outright in those spots out there. Now, big changes on the defense, of course, for this Eagles squad. That's certainly a big component for them, but Javonte Williams, guy's got to be in there to get a touchdown. He's got a nice price tag around it as well here. This Cowboys team might not keep the Eagles off the board, but they should find a way to keep it within that 3.5 points out there. No, Micah Parsons was the big conversation. Are they paying the price on defense? Maybe. But I'm going to go with this Dak Prescott-led Cowboys at the plus 3.5. I can't stomach it. I can't stand it. And I can't stand to see the buy hats. Talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I rarely wear this hat. I mean, I got so many hats. I had to find this one, but it is a beautiful print. It's actually corduroy. It's perfect. Before Christmas in Dallas, the cheerleaders are looking gorgeous. Beer's flowing. Dak's hanging out. The defense is playing some ball. The buy hat is engaged on a suddenly not so casual Week 12 Sunday. And Mike, just jumping off it, we talk about desperation games here. This is a must win for Dallas. They are actually trending up towards potentially the playoffs, but they're 4-5-1. They're right around that fringe 9-8-7 seed. Must win. Divisional revenge game. Lost the opener, prime time, Thursday Night Football, Week 1, the ring ceremony at Lincoln Financial Field. You go to that game, they actually outplayed the Eagles in that game. They outgained them. The Eagles had 110 yards of penalty yards. They looked unregulated. This is where it's going to go the other direction. The line indicates it. On that particular night, the Eagles were laying 7.5. This line is short. And going into the actual standings of this game and the motivation, I don't think the Eagles have a ton of motivation in this game, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think it's your classic Super Bowl champion kind of coasting midseason, and this is like a purgatory spot. I was talking about this the other day in terms of NBA road trips. You get a 7-game trip. Game 4 is just the bottom out. The beginning, you have some energy. You get some late. The middle, you flatline. This is really the purgatory spot for the Eagles here. They're not really trying to peak right now. They're trying to just conserve energy, get through the holidays. They got to play Black Friday as well, the day after Thanksgiving against the Bears, and then really peak in December and January. You don't want to go anywhere near the Eagles in this spot. Not only that, but within the standings for the playoffs, they don't really need this game. The NFC East this year is extremely down. The Commanders went from the NFC Championship game to the doghouse. They're 3-8. The Giants are horrible, 2-9. The Cowboys are in second in this division at 4-5-1. The Eagles are 8-2. They have a 3.5 game lead in this division. Truthfully, they could lose the next 2 or 3 games and still win this division. Point being, there's not a lot of motivation. Final point on this. If you look at the point differential for the Eagles, it's actually incredibly unimpressive. And point differential only becomes important in pro football when you get to this point in the season. You have actual data. Just to give you guys a point of reference, the Eagles are 8-2. The only other team in the league that's 8-2 are the Colts. The Eagles' point differential is plus 33. The Colts' point differential is plus 115.
Wow.
Correct. So when you're this efficient winning, you should have more margin in your wins if you're sustainable. I think they're coming down. I think this is all over Dallas. Taking it plus 3.5, a collaboration. The Shark and Mikey Money Week 12. Let's cash.
I can't believe we're collabing on the Cowboys. What has this come to? This is ridiculous. Man, oh man, that's going to be a fun game.
Hey, we have no biases. We just play what we see, and that is a snapshot to how you win in sports betting. You cannot have biases. Take the Cowboys and let's cash. Mike, do we have another break, or are we going straight to 8 o'clock?
Let's go to 8, and then we'll hit them up with some best bets and put a bow on the show. Appreciate you guys. Cameron Sinnett with the $4.99 dono. Shout out to all you guys, man. Appreciate everybody joining us here on a suddenly not too casual Friday. Shark, let's go, man. Let's talk about the Sunday Nighter.
Absolutely. 8:20 p.m. NBC Sports. Bucks Rams in Inglewood. Actually, 5:20 out west. So an interesting kick time. Who knows what's going to happen there with these guys getting ready to go for a game at a funky time. Mike and I were talking before the show. We thought these teams had some sort of rivalry going the last couple of years. It just kind of felt like that's where they were. Bucks are always right there. Fringe playoff round 1, round 2. LA always right there. Fringe playoff round 1, round 2. These teams actually haven't played since the 2022 regular season. So we haven't seen a lot of recent history with these teams. What we have seen is the Rams looking excellent and the Bucks looking good, sometimes great, sometimes pedestrian. Truthfully, it's a tough game. I did look at it briefly. I think this is, if anything, an over. Mike, any thoughts?
Yeah, listen, this has got to be a quarterback air it out. Matt Stafford, if he's going to get the MVP over Jonathan Taylor, it's this game. And, you know, you look at the capability and what he's been doing out there. You got to look at this guy's passing yards. This is a great prop bet spot for Matty Stafford. After, you know, the Bucks first, from the standpoint of what they did out there off defensively, they stopped James Cook. They didn't stop Josh Allen. He threw for 317 yards. Then you look at this team from a Rams perspective out there, and Matt Stafford, 280 plus passing yards in back-to-back games. This matchup sets up great for him to go continue that MVP campaign. So his totals right now set at 247.5. Go out there, fire on Matt Stafford to get the job done. Boy, I'm not sure so far as the sides, though. This number, I like the over. I think that's a really strong look for this game here. I kind of feel like, you know, we saw that the loss to the Bills last week obviously didn't age well because the Texans were able to go out there and beat down this Bills team. So how does this fare? We talked about that being in a potential look-ahead spot. That game was 22-21 for Tampa going into that fourth quarter. It was only until the Bills went out there and exploded in that fourth quarter that score got misleading and Tampa got left behind. So I'm not entirely sure how I get to the window with this one, other than I know I like Matt Stafford. I'm already on his 247.5 passing yards. Well, player prop to sneak in there for a Sunday night special. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the props. As I said, this game is tough. Honestly, if I had to take a side here, I would take Tampa. I think one thing that does stand out about Tampa, they're coming off of a road loss. Of course, as you said, we told you guys Buffalo would be the side last week. Yep. As you mentioned, they were very competitive until the fourth quarter. Buffalo very explosive, 44 points when it was all said and done. But we did correlate last week at Buffalo to a game that Tampa Bay played at Detroit earlier in the year. It was the same thing. They were a +5.5 road dog outside of the division against a contender. After losing to Detroit on October 20th, they actually did stay on the road, and they did beat the Saints 23-3. So in this theoretically difficult spot off a tough loss versus a contender, staying on the road where oftentimes teams just fall apart, they actually bounced back. And I think this is definitely a bounce back spot. Rams, in my opinion, are not in a good spot. Whenever the media gets on a team, that's when you want to start selling. And now you're hearing all this stuff, Super Bowl, McVay, Stafford. Of course, it's a great narrative. First of all, it's in LA. McVay is a young coach. He's already won a Super Bowl. Stafford's won a Super Bowl. He's a legend, across humanitarianism with his wife and obviously his career. These are the type of players and teams that the media wants to win because it's a great storyline they can pump. Point being, when they pump the story is usually when it's gotten a little stale. They're not ahead of the story. They report after it's already happened. I think the Rams have peaked to a certain degree. I think it's a trap spot. They just played 2 consecutive divisional games. Very impressive win at San Francisco. Last week, really tight win against Seattle non-cover. And ultimately, Seattle could have won that game. And when you really start to look at who the Rams have beaten this year, I don't think it correlates to this spot. They beat Houston at home as a small favorite back when Houston wasn't playing good ball. They beat the horrible Titans. They beat the Ravens, who had a backup quarterback. They beat the Jags in overseas. They beat Tyler Show in his first game. They beat the Niners with a backup quarterback. The only impressive win they have all year was against the Colts. And we just told you we thought the Colts were a bit of fool's gold too. So I think ultimately the Rams are too hot. The narrative's too hot. I think the Bucs bounce back. I'll give you guys +7. I think the Bucs do cover this game. That's 55 minutes, Mike. It is a journey always, and it is fast, and it is dominant, and we got best bets. Recording Friday, Sunday it will be. Sundays are for the Sharps. Week 12, NFL The Betting Blitz. Mikey Money, best bets.
I'm going to lay it down for you guys here. Just news, just breaking news here. Joe Flacco active for Sunday. I'm going to take the Bengals +7. That's going to be a best bet now. I'm going to absolutely fade this Patriots spot. I'm going to add the Detroit Lions first half -6.5 to the equation. And I gave you guys the teaser, the Baltimore Ravens, the Detroit Lions, both sitting at -6 in that teaser. And then I'm going to go with Arizona. Give me the Cardinals. Give me that +3 as well. There's 4 best bets for you, Shark. Appreciate you doing this as always, my guy. Lay it on him. How you getting paid?
Absolutely. I'll give you guys 4 as well. I'm going to give you guys Kansas City -3, Las Vegas -3.5, New Orleans money line, and Dallas +3.5. That's 8 free plays, 8 top plays, 56.5 minutes. Like it's 3:46 p.m. on a Friday. We work hard. We love to do it. We love to bring you guys the heat. Mike, give them some words, and I'll close it out.
We work hard indeed. We play hard. I'm going to go play hard at the LFA event this evening, so I appreciate everybody being flexible with us. Going to be a fun evening for me. Good luck with your bets. Have a great NFL Sunday. Make sure you guys do like, reshare the video. Let other people know. My guy Shark and I do this thing on the regular. We're trying to give you guys the fastest 50 in football with best bets to boot. And back-to-back 7-1s, man. We are firing. We are red hot right now. So you got 8 plays this week. Good luck with everything. Thank you as always, Shark, my guy. Lay it on him.
Yeah, absolutely. We are hot, and it's not getting hot like we're, in a casino just catching a heater. This is where we get great information, and we really go into the details, and we're able to give you guys the numbers and the narratives. That's it for this one, NFL Betting Blitz. Week 12 for Mike. I am the Shark. Stay fast, stay strong, and stay disciplined. Let's dominate.